Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into another Monday morning here. A couple of weeks away from, actually about a week and a half away from the NFL draft. Been a big weekend in Tampa. The Taylor Swift concerts. They put more people in Raymond James Stadium this weekend than they did in all of, I think, 2017 or 2018 for Bucs games.
For 8 home games combined.
Probably, yeah.
What was it, 206,000 over 3 nights?
Yeah, 210.
Jeez.
Had about an average ticket price of about $250 a pop or more. Yeah, $600 million in ticket sales for the tour. That's not bad. But I tell you what, though, no expense spared. No expense spared. That was one of the biggest freaking shows I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the show today. Welcome in. Eric Erlitz is going to join us at 10:30 live from Amalie Arena, where the Bolts will be going through their skate this morning, their practice this morning before jumping on a plane and heading up to Toronto, where the Rays just left, losing 2 games. They suck. I told you they were going to suck. I told you this was a bad team. Yeah, just awful. Just awful.
The slide is coming.
Yeah, here it could. They're only 4 games up.
Only 4?
Only 4 games
Through
up.
16? That's
yeah,
it?
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we supposed to do now?
I guess we're going to have to go 160 and 2.
Awful, just awful. Yes, it was a good weekend for Tampa Bay, but maybe not as much for the Rays. But they salvaged one yesterday, so we'll get into that a little bit. But we'll also be hitting in on the Lightning, obviously, as they get set to take on Toronto for what is going to be a very entertaining first-round series. I watched a lot of NBA this weekend because the playoffs are on. There's some interesting matchups, a lot of injuries.
A lot of really interesting matchups.
We'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll get into the NFL draft as well, as the Bucs are getting ready to embark on what is going to be a very, very important draft for them. To see what Jason Licht can come up with to make this team a little bit more competitive for the year to come. Because quietly, I think this NFC South. I was kind of looking at the draft position to some of these other teams and the players that are available. This NFC South is going to change dramatically in 1 year. I mean, this division is going to look completely different after this draft with some big name players, probably big name quarterbacks. At least definitely one in Charlotte for sure with the Panthers. I don't think the Falcons are going to go grab a quarterback. I think they're good, but they're going to get a big-time player. And, of course, Derek Carr's already in the division. The Bucs are going to draft somebody big. And, who knows who's moving up, who's moving out to see what happens. So I think a lot of intrigue come next week. This NFC South's going to look very different. And it's not going to be the doormat division that it was last year. Everybody's going to get better. Everybody's been getting better. That's how the NFL works. And now the Buccaneers have to try to hold serve and stay with these other teams. They're the 2-time defending champions, although last year doesn't really feel like a division championship, but it is. Are we going to raise one of those banners too? Do you put up a banner? Do they put up banners for division titles where you're under 500?
Do they even make any mention on the stadium of the division titles and all that? I don't even know if they do. I think they only have the Super Bowl ones up.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Which I feel like that should be the way it should be.
I don't know. I mean, division titles are certainly rare around here.
Yeah,
so,
it's true.
Yeah, certainly rare. I think there's probably room for that somewhere, somehow. Maybe there is. I don't know, but I'd have to think twice about putting up this one. Don't ask the Rays. They're unabashed. Oh, yeah, we went to the playoffs. Put up a banner. At least they were over 500, barely, but it's okay. So we'll get into all that as we go through today's show. We thank you guys for jumping in. Lonnie and Rick Hughes, good morning as well. They have banners in the practice facility. Yeah, they do. They do. You're absolutely right, Rick. They do. But I think they should be in the stadium. I mean, I think playoff appearances are certainly worthy of that. I mean, you got plenty of room. You got plenty of room. You should celebrate them somewhere, absolutely. And they put the schedule in front of you. You win the division title. In 5 years, nobody's going to remember this one. Maybe not. And maybe they always will. But it was an interesting weekend for the Rays, and I think already you're seeing the hit that this pitching staff has taken. I mean, they only have two starters now in Rasmussen and McClanahan.
Yep.
With Eflin on the shelf now. Springs is on the shelf. We don't know for how long. Have we gotten a good feeling for how long that's going to be yet? Or
I haven't
for
read
much
Springs,
on that.
not really, no.
Yeah.
But I told you, I mean, there's examples of guys being out for like 10 days, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some examples of guys being out for a lot longer, like a couple months.
Yeah.
So it's going to be somewhere in between there, I think. But it sounded like Topkin put something out where it ended up not being just the nerve. There was something in there. I'm actually thinking about it now. I believe Topkin, I want to get it right. I'm going to go back and find it.
All right.
But I believe he said that he might be sidelined for a couple months.
Yeah, I must have missed that over the weekend. But the bottom line, and we said that during the streak, like, inevitably here it comes. The Rays have injuries to their pitching staff for whatever reason. They get the best out of their pitchers. They certainly do, but they have to because they all become injured.
Here it was. This one got caught up in all the tweets that he had this week. He said he's expected to be out a minimum of 2 months. It's considered to be more than a nerve issue. If it's something that requires surgery, he could be out much longer.
Wow.
So at least 2 months for Jeffrey Springs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to get caught up in the 13-win streak is obviously where we've all been. But now as we sit here and get sober a little bit, after the drunken 2 weeks of 13-0, it's like, oh, shiz. Now, Eflin's got a back injury, which we think is minor. But, every time we think that about a Rays pitcher, they're out for 2 months.
Yeah.
2 or 3 months. You got Springs now. That's out for 2 months. Glass now won't be coming back till late May. They're gonna have some trouble finding any. By the way, where's Taj Bradley? Come back, please.
Please.
Come back. Be here. See, we're starting already with the Taylor Swift song. Oh, sorry. Yeah, come back. Be here. We need you back. There's no way he can stay down at AAA now.
You'd think no, because I mean they've reached the point already where we're in TBD range every single day.
Yeah, the next 2 days in Cincinnati, we don't know who's
we
starting.
We have no idea who's starting outside of today. With Beeks is the opener.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's the opener, but we have no idea who's coming. Which look, they've got arms to fill it. It's not panic, and it is the Reds. They're not the best team in the world, but this is going to be a long-term problem, obviously, for this team. Is starting pitching already. And we love the way the offense has come out, and but they faced some better pitching this weekend, and they weren't as good. As we were saying, tap the brakes, folks. Tap the brakes. This team is not winning 120 games. They're probably not winning 105 games. They'll probably be in the mid-90s as my partner predicted here. But it's going to get a little rocky. Get ready. It's going to get a little rocky when you only have really 2 starting pitchers for now. Now, obviously, you hopefully get these guys back, but now we're already counting on Taj Bradley to come back and fill the starter's role. It's
a new dynamic with the Rays. They're going to have to hit and slug their way to victories, I think, at least in the short term right now. I think they are, because you're going to face a lot better competition than you did in the first 3 or 4 series, which we don't take anything away from there. You won those games.
Right.
Everybody's going to play those teams throughout this season,
right.
And I doubt anybody's going to make it through them unscathed like the Rays did.
No way.
There's no way. But I mean, you saw what happened this week. The first 2 games, the bats were really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of strikeouts in that Rays lineup.
Yep.
And I noticed Toronto did a very good job with their homework, because they gave this Rays lineup a lot of off-speed, especially the first 2 games. I mean, did Brandon Lau see a single fastball from Barrios in the 3 times that he faced him?
Probably not.
How many fastballs did Brandon Lau see in general this weekend? We know he struggles hitting the off-speed. And that's all the Blue Jays peppered with him, and he wasn't able to adjust, as a lot of guys in the Rays lineup for those first 2 games.
Right. Yeah, first divisional opponent, too, that knows you really, really well, right? Yeah. Or, well, they played the Red Sox, though. But this Red Sox they don't have any pitchers that can throw off speed stuff first strike, clearly. So they don't count. But this is obviously a much better team in Toronto, and it looked like it. It looked like it. Not to say that the Rays can't compete with these teams. They obviously can. But it's not going to be a cakewalk like a lot of people
and
thought.
I don't think it was like there's a gap there between the two teams. I mean, a lot of it is the Rays had a lot of luck going their way the first 13 games.
Sure.
You're going to need some kind of degree of luck to get through 13 unbeaten. And it seemed like at least on the Friday game, I mean, they were right there kind of. It was like 2-1, I believe, when they go to the pen, and then Colin Poche.
Yeah. Your boy
Colin Poche. This was Saturday, actually, where he gets in there and he walks two guys, has zero command. The three-batter rule kind of screwed them there, where he had to face three batters. And then you have the play where Brandon Lau, this was on Friday, he whiffs on a ground ball that would have gotten him out of the inning. He completely whiffs on the throw to second base. That's not going to happen often, right? So it was just little things there that kind of went Toronto's way.
getting a little sloppy.
A little sloppy than we saw in the first 13 games, which was bound to happen at some point. So I don't think there was a big gap between the two teams necessarily. And Toronto's lineup, that lineup was tough to face. It was hard to get that team out. They were hitting it up. I mean, Bichette went 5 for 5 in the first game, right? One of the hottest hitters in baseball. They hardly struck out. They only struck out 16 times in the 3 games, so about 5 a game. That's all you got out of them.
Yeah.
So they were struggling to put guys away. They were making hard contact on a lot of baseball. So no panic button for the Rays at all. I mean, they're 14-2.
Yeah.
They're 14-2.
No.
There's no reason for anybody to put their arms in the air and get all huffy about it.
Well, there is, but it's just for injury's sake. It's nothing they're doing wrong, but these injuries to these starters are significant now.
It's a legit thing.
Yeah, it's very significant.
And
It's too many.
the bullpen having a lot of inexperienced arms all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it's a little thin back there now.
Luckily, this April schedule remains soft. They got Cincinnati, and then they've got 6 games with the White Sox.
Not a good team.
Not a good. So, and Lonnie Wilkins piling in here. This sounds bizarre. I didn't know about this. We went to the White Sox game yesterday. Had a 2-hour rain delay with no rain at all. So dumb. How's that happen?
I know it was like one of those like crazy windy days in Chicago yesterday. It looked ugly out there, but I didn't know that it didn't rain though.
We left before it even started. I've been going there forever, and let me just say it's no better than Tampa, the White Sox. I've not been to their new park, but
That thing has never looked new to me.
No, it's always been awful. They got it because of St. Pete, as we well know. They probably don't want it anymore. Anything in South Chicago though, I don't know how anybody goes anywhere there. The Trop experience has gotten much better in the last few years. That is no doubt. I think a lot of people were probably very happy with when they went there for the first 3 series or so. I certainly was. I mean, I think they've done a really, really good job of making it way more enjoyable. It's still cramped, in the common spaces. It doesn't have the amenities that other, real stadiums have. There's so much that it doesn't have. They've done as good a job as they can. But 21,000 in there the other day, it wasn't too bad. But you get any more than that, it's unworkable. But this Rays team is going to have to get through this stretch somehow, some way. And I don't see how they do it without bringing Taj Bradley back.
He's going to have to be back here like as soon as possible. Maybe get him one more start in AAA.
Why? Why start him in AAA when you have 3 spots open up here? That makes no sense to me.
I mean, what's the chances that Taj Bradley is going to have an outing like he did against Boston the entire time he's up here? There's going to be some kind of wall this guy hits. I mean, he's still very inexperienced and very young.
It's in the beginning of the season.
I know.
His stuff plays in the major leagues.
I don't think the Rays wanted to have to put this much on his plate to make him a full-time starter in April.
They don't want to, but, welcome to the big leagues, kids. You're 22 years old. You got the stuff to do it. Bring him up. Let's go. Why should he toil in AAA when he could be doing it up here? If he starts to get knocked around, then you send him down. But from the stuff I saw in Game 1,
the stuff was there.
I mean, I don't think he's going to get knocked around. He might, give up 3 or 4 runs, but you need somebody to eat the innings. He's a starter. He's got great stuff. And, I'm here to say, look, 14-2 sounds great. But, I joke about it. You're only 4 games up on the Yankees and the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Every win in April is just as big as every win in September. So if you'd call him up in September, call him up now. Let's go. Yeah. Get him up here.
And what's it say, too, about the way they feel about Luis Patino, who still can't even get a call-up, by the way? Yeah, they're not even counting on him anymore. They brought up this guy, Trevor Kelly, right?
Yeah.
This weekend. I mean, forgive me, but I'm not sure who Trevor Kelly is, to be honest with you.
We got a Kevin Kelly and a
We got
Trevor
a Kevin Kelly and a Trevor Kelly.
Okay.
Braden Bristo's in that bullpen as well right now.
Yeah.
Yanni Chirinos is back up, but it looks like he's more in that bulk role at the moment than a traditional starter. And then you have Beeks and Fleming. Who, I mean, I'm assuming Fleming's coming in after Beeks today.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But is that really something you can count on every single week?
Yeah.
Not really. So again, translation: the Rays are going to have to hit their way out of this the next couple weeks here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think this offense has proven itself obviously early on, but I do have some questions whether it's going to be sustainable against the really, really good teams. We saw this weekend they got shut down a little bit.
Well, yesterday, I mean, yesterday though was a good sign. Now
yesterday was a good sign.
Now that was an odd game though from the get-go. Manoah, I don't know what's going on with that guy.
Yeah,
that's Toronto's issue, but he's
out of sorts.
Velocity's down, completely out of sorts. I mean, he started the game like 3 minutes after, and he was just kind of standing there on the mound, not even like throwing warm-up pitches. So it was weird from the beginning. He hits Yandy with a fastball right in the back on the first one.
Yeah.
And it didn't even look like it. Brian Anderson made note of this on the broadcast. It didn't look like one of those fastballs that he just like lost control of. It almost looked purposeful a little bit.
Yeah.
But he did not have good stuff at all yesterday, and the Rays were able to take advantage. And the bright spot again is Josh Lowe.
Yeah.
Josh Lowe's hitting like 360 already still.
And that first one, that was a big hit. That 2 out, it was kind of a blooper, but I liked it because he wasn't. What did he not do? He didn't swing for the fence.
No.
He just tried to make contact and get the ball in play with 2 outs and 2 guys
you
on.
You got the bases loaded with no outs and 2 guys strike out.
Right.
And, I mean, that had a chance. If they don't get a run in that game could have gone completely different.
It's almost a win for Toronto in that inning.
Yeah, it could have gone completely different there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so that was a huge hit right there. That was a huge hit, and he comes back, gets a double, another RBI. So another 3 RBI. He's got, 10 RBI on this young season already? I mean, that's of all the offensive players, then we've seen a lot of people come alive here. He's the one I think that is the most important, because if he can produce, it just makes that lineup so much thicker.
Yeah, it's the bottom of the lineup that's producing all of a sudden. Like the 7, 8, 9, they have a really good thing there with Lowe and Bethancourt, who's getting more playing time than Mejia right now, and the added power to his game, which we saw yesterday.
3-run homer.
And even Vidal Brujan. This is the best that I think we've seen Vidal Brujan by far in the major leagues. He looks more comfortable out there. He's getting some base hits.
I agree.
He's beating out ground balls when he's running his ass off. He's playing good defense. They've been able to find a spot for him over there at third. Taylor Walls is another guy who's brought unexpected offense to his game as well. We know what he can do defensively. So that's the big difference, is the 6, 7, 8, 9 in this lineup is producing, whereas in years past that was a big problem for this team.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let's hear from some of them here. And Bally Sports Sun, courtesy of it, Christian Bethancourt with a big 3-run homer that stretched this lead out for the Rays.
Brujan is going, and the pitch skied back into left center field. Got some carry. Kiermaier's going to look up, and it's gone. Home run. A 3-run shot off the bat of Christian Bethancourt. And the Rays with 2 outs. All of it.
That's a big deal. The 2-out run. And he goes down to a knee to get this pitch.
Goes to Adrian Beltre style right there.
Yeah.
From Christian Bethancourt.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Got it out to dead center field. That guy's he's got really good power.
Good pop.
Yeah, he's a big dude. I mean, he's 6'3", 210, 220?
Yep.
He's a big dude. And, once again, the Rays find a cast-off that they hone in on some of his skills. And, he's a former pitcher, right?
Yeah, he hasn't been playing the field that long. But he's been great back there defensively. I mean, they got him last year in that kind of under-the-radar trade from Oakland when they were just selling everybody.
Yeah.
And he was on a hot streak when they got him, and it's carried over to this year. So, and he's been good because Mejia hasn't been able to find his hitting stroke yet.
Yeah.
So they've been able to kind of plug Bethancourt in kind of every day at the moment.
Yeah, that's a big deal to find somebody like that and to add the pop that he's added as well. And we mentioned Josh Lowe, another RBI double for him, and you just can't say enough about how his different approach this year.
2-2. And a little looper into short right center. That's going to fall. Lau scores. Here comes Ramirez. Franco's going to go to third. And the Rays come up with 2 more to make it a 3-0 ball game. Josh Lowe dropping that one into short right center. And the Rays cash in with 3.
That is a huge hit because you're right. Alek Manoah was on the verge. He was one strike away from getting out of this mess. And Josh Lowe just flips that ball in there. Make contact. Battle. Do what you got to do. Give yourself a fighting chance. Well, he did. Everybody's running with 2 outs. Drops it in. 2 big runs.
Yeah, and you could see it was like an all-hands wrist swing. He was just trying to make contact, that's different than last year when he came up. He was trying to hit a 5-run homer every time he got up.
Yep.
And this was, shortened up a little bit. Just get the bat on the ball, get it in play with 2 outs, and something good's going to happen. That's a big deal.
It's a lot of guys who have, again, we talked about it. The front office kind of had no choice but to put their faith back into these guys this year, and they're rewarding
them.
them.
They get credit for that? We tried to replace you guys, but we just couldn't.
Well,
we have budget constraints, and now you're playing well, so
smart move. Give credit to the guys because a lot of the guys they were counting on and needed more offense from, like Josh Lowe and like Taylor Walls and like Luke Raley, and I'll throw Rosarena in there as well. What do those 4 guys have in common? They've all done something different this year. Rosarena with the study habits, and the other 3, they've done a little tweak to their swing.
Yep.
Whether it's just a different way of standing in the box. Raley, I think, he's doing less of the kicking up his right foot before he swings.
Yep.
And then Taylor Walls has the elbow up more, right, to add a little bit more pop to his bat, which we saw on the Saturday game where he got his first home run. So all those little things. So I put it a lot on the players as well. They've done their part.
Yeah, they're making adjustments and trying to be better. That's all you can ask for these guys. All right, let's listen in to Kevin Cash, courtesy of Bally Sports Sun, after yesterday's 8-1 win over Toronto.
And the play that Jason Adam made to end the game, the behind-the-back catch, how impressive was that?
Yeah, it's impressive, very impressive. That's two nights in a row, back-to-back comebackers, hard comebackers. So glad that he secured it and got that final out.
In terms of Josh Lowe, he was so big. That at-bat against Manoah in the first inning, how critical was that?
That was big. Manoah's such a good pitcher. When you get him out of sync a little bit, you want to be able to capitalize. I think we wanted to get greedy there and not get just one. J-Lo hung in there and was able to get a ball to score 2.
Shane obviously allowed the first 3 hitters to get on. Snyder goes out to talk to him. What changed and led to him kind of cruising the rest of the way?
They're good hitters, but I think Shane, just as the outing got stronger as the outing got deeper. Really impressed with his work. Strike throwing efficiency after he got built up in that first inning by pitch count, kind of reset and got us 6 full innings.
The other rally in the 5th inning, there were a couple of pretty key moments there. The replay call to extend the inning, was it obvious to you guys? Was that something Randall saw? Or?
Yeah, it was Randall. Good job by him. The key moment was, other than the homer, was Walsey's walk to get on base right there with 2 outs. Right. All that started with that, but.
Yeah, but if he's called out, I'm saying if he's out at second, the inning's over. So that to extend the inning.
Yeah.
And then Josh's base running play to be safe at third. That kind of creative slide on the ball. Ruhan hit the third.
Yeah. That helps. I'm trying to recall all those things.
Kind of slid around the base and hooked it with his leg.
Yeah, I think did Chapman drop the ball, or
I think he dropped it after Josh came to the base.
Yeah, when there were good things that happened that inning, no doubt.
How important was it for Shane to get deep to give you 6?
It was important. We want him to give us as much as he can every start, but our bullpen was in fine shape. So pleased that we were able to do that, and we're just that much fresher with that added inning he provided to go into Cincinnati now.
With Lowe last year, this year, what's the biggest difference?
Confidence. I think that's what we saw in spring training. That's confidence for a lot of guys. It's a tough game. Josh learned some things probably about himself and about his game. Credit him to put it to work this offseason, spring training. He's having a really good season to start.
Couple tough games to start the series. Do you think overall in this game you felt like you caught a couple more lucky breaks?
I don't think we got lucky breaks. I think we created our breaks.
It seemed like the offense was a little bit more flowing than we were earlier.
Yeah, we had good at bats early on against Manoah. He's really good, but he was, the strike throwing wasn't there. We didn't seem to help him out very much, and that's tough to do because he's so deceptive. So a lot of good at bats early to kind of drive his pitch count up.
Oh, Cash didn't like that inference that they were lucky.
We're not lucky. We're not
lucky. We create our own breaks. Shut up, reporter. Yeah. But true. It was a great play by. I forgot about that comebacker too
that Jason Adam got at the end.
Snagged, and Kiermaier's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I love how Adam looked him dead in the eye.
Said, Now you know how everybody else feels when you go up over the wall and grab somebody's
By the way,
run.
speaking of Kiermaier, I have to ask this because this is our first time playing him as a visitor. Is it just me, or he almost comes off – he's unlikable, right? Now that you're playing against him, he's unlikable.
When you're playing against him, he's definitely unlikable, yeah. Look, I've never – to me, like a lot of people – I see how it grinds people because, you know, he tries to be a showman and, you know, he jumps sometimes when he doesn't have to jump. He celebrates. Everything is, you know, like 2 out. Just everything is so demonstrative. And then when you hear him talk, he has this complete, there's no self-awareness about sounding conceited. It just, you know, but I always said it just kind of comes off in his goofy I really don't realize what I'm doing. Don't take it seriously. I'm trying to be a nice guy kind of way. At least that's the way I've always taken it. And maybe because, you know, he's been in studio with us before. I've got to know him a little bit. He's a really good dude. He doesn't mean anybody any harm. He's not like a cocky a-hole. He doesn't come off like that when you're in his person, although I think you could maybe think that if you haven't been around him. So, I don't know. I get it, but if you've been around him, you just kind of know. I don't want to say it this way, but it kind of comes off like I don't think he's smart enough to know that he comes off that way. It's just kind of him.
Yeah.
I know that sounds bad, but
it's
just
just
kind
the
of
way
a
it comes off.
goofball. Like
Yeah.
a good looking, I just happen to be really good looking and good at baseball, and I'm going to tell you all about it, tell you all about my great catches. It's just, I don't know. It never bothered me. But I understand why it bothers you guys.
Well, on the Friday game, it was like kind of irritating me. It felt like the Rays were almost like worrying, like almost too much about the guy. Like he came up in his first plate appearance and he knocks one the other way for a base hit, gets on first. And then whoever was pitching at the time, I can't remember, was like really worrying about him at first base, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
he's going to steal.
Yeah, when we throw one away and he gets to second, right? So you're worrying about him too much. He gets into scoring position.
Right.
And then he ends up scoring that inning, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And he comes up, and he's still got the everyday I'm hustling and everything. Like, oh, man. But I will say, though, having to face this guy, knowing how he just eats everything up in the outfield. He did that a few times in the first two games where there were balls hit to the gap, and I'm like, oh, maybe that has a chance. And here comes Kiermaier running over, and I'm like, yeah, he just made that look really easy.
Yeah.
He almost took a home run away also in the first game.
Yeah. He's a good player.
He's a good player.
He's a really good player. And the Rays, I mean, you're not going to – obviously you start 13-0. Do we miss KK? No.
No.
But there'll be times this year when we miss KK. You know, there'll be some times. But obviously we have some replacements that are really, really good and make a hell of a lot less money than he makes. It was time. I don't think anybody laments it. It's just it is what it is. It's what happens to Rays players.
All power to him. The guy got $9 million for Toronto.
Yeah, well, he's worth it. He's worth it.
For what he does defensively.
Yeah, he's worth it. That's not a lot of money. And for many ball clubs, that's not a lot of money. For us, I always thought that was the biggest problem with KK for the fans, is he was our highest paid player, and everybody thought he should be Mickey Mantle. And he's not. He's just not. But what he does, you pay for in this league because it's important. It's important. You know, you can say, well, he doesn't hit very much. Well, he takes away 15 to 25 doubles a year.
Doesn't need to in that lineup.
Yeah, right. He takes away 15 to 25 doubles a year. Add that to his offensive stats. You know, he takes away 4 or 5 home runs a year. Add those to his offensive stat. He throws out guys. I mean, all these defensive run prevention, you either plus runs or you're minus runs or whatever you want to do, but saving runs is as important as knocking them in. It's simple math. So to somebody was going to pay him for that. Absolutely, they were.
Well, and he's
worth every penny.
He didn't have fun facing Shane McClanahan yesterday, by the way.
Well, nor would he ever.
He did not have fun. He was put away easily with 3 pitches.
Yeah, I think he knew that was coming. He knew that was coming, no doubt. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Eric Erlinson will join us live from Amalie Arena as the Bolts get set to take on the lovable loser. Well, not very lovable in Toronto. The losers in the playoffs since 2004, your Toronto Maple Loafs. We'll talk to him. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group and, of course, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Back at 3. Hey, guys. Guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 8. Of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Tell them JP sent you. Get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call. 727-894-2929. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Folks, there is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. They'll make it a fun experience. People come from all over to shop at the Gold and Diamond Source because of their great customer service and incredible, impeccable reputation. No sales pressure, no intimidation, and they have the largest selection of hand-picked diamonds. And by the way, diamonds are the April birthstone. So this month only, they are offering 15% off their diamond birthstone collection, available on select products. And you've probably heard a lot about lab-created diamonds, folks. They hold no real value. You will have no resale value whatsoever with a lab-created diamond. And of course, it's fake. It doesn't mean as much. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, folks. Interest-free financing up to 5 years, a layaway program, 20% down, and only 6 monthly payments. And, of course, the Diamond Savings Account, where you get full value of your diamond when you look to upgrade. It's all there for you at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Homerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to JP Peterson Show on this Monday as we get set for the NHL playoffs to open up. The NBA got the jump this weekend, but now we get into some real playoff grit with the NHL. Of course, the Bolts will practice today and then head up to Toronto this afternoon, and they will take on the Maple Leafs in Game 1 tomorrow night. And Eric Erlandson, Lightning insider, been covering this team for 20-plus years, joins us live from today's practice. What's up, Double E's? How are you?
Happy Monday, JP. What's going on?
Is the newest father there skating around, Mr.
He
Sergachev?
is here. I'm doing inventory. I don't think anybody's missing, but there's a reason I went into communications because my math is really bad.
Yeah, I think by this time it's got to be a sixth sense for you, though. Like you could just sense like what numbers are not out there. I think it comes to you almost in clairvoyance. So if there wasn't somebody out there, your spidey sense would be tingling already. So I think we're confident everybody is there. So
well, you know who is here? Who's a big surprise on the ice for practice is Tanner Janot.
Really?
Yeah, he's out here practicing with the team. If you'd have told me that last week that he'd be out there for the the final practice before the playoffs begin, I'd have thought there's no way. But yeah, he's out here. It looks like he's moving around pretty well. It's amazing considering the injury we thought he had suffered.
Wow, that is amazing. Wow. I don't know what he's doing for treatment, but I know what a lot of these other professional athletes are doing, including Ryan Jensen. It's something called stem cells, and it works miracles, especially on ligament and tendon injuries. So these days, I don't put anything past these guys because it's incredible healing time. But that's good news if he's skating around fine. I mean, the first question I'm sure for Cooper is going to be how quick till he comes back, right? I'm sure he'll love that too.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be very accommodating when we ask him that question too. I mean, look, he had said last week that the news was better than they had anticipated, but he didn't expect that he would be ready to start the series. So we've certainly come a long way. At least it looks that way since a week ago. Because look, they gave up a lot for Tanner Jeannot. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be viewed by a lot of people in what you gave up to bring him in. But he was brought in to be a physical force, a presence on the ice, and we certainly saw him really coming around in that aspect before he suffered that injury. Not even 2 weeks ago at this point. When he got hurt. So if you can have him in the lineup, that's such a boost from a physical presence because as all the conversations I know you've had with Brian Engblom on the last call there, intimidation matters, and Tanner Jeannot intimidates.
No question about it. And this is a series where you have a Toronto team that is, I mean, let's just be honest about this, Eric. They have tried to steal the Lightning's template to turn a team that was, a scoring finesse team into a team that's grittier to play in the playoffs. There's no question about that. And this will be the first test to see if it actually works. I mean, obviously we've seen it in the regular season, but this is, as we know, the playoffs are a completely different animal. I think that's one of the storylines here. Would you agree?
Absolutely. There's no doubt that Toronto saw what the Lightning did to them last year, especially coming off of back-to-back trips to the Stanley Cup final, and to grind their way back into that series after, losing the first three odd-numbered games, 1, 3, and 5, and fell behind 3-2 in the series. They grinded their way back into it and ended up winning Game 7 in a close 2-1 game. I mean, Toronto has the skill. There's no doubt. Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, top-line scorers in this league. And what the Lightning's model has been is Kucherov and Points and Stamkos and those guys scoring goals and then finding the grit from, the Gords and the Colemans and the Pauls and the Hagels and guys like that. So there's no doubt that the Leafs learned a lot from how Tampa Bay beat them last year. And that's why they went out and got Ryan O'Reilly. That's why they went out and got Jake McCabe. They're kind of grinding type players. And they hope that that's going to be the difference for them in this series, that they can use some of that defensive acumen that the guy like O'Reilly in particular has to slow down the Lightning's offense, and then their game breakers can make the difference, because that's what it's been for Tampa Bay's success over the past 3 years in particular.
Yeah, and you mentioned the importance of having that depth scoring, which the Lightning have always had. You mentioned Jeannot, obviously, it'd be great if you get him back, but the other guy that I'm keeping my eye on here is Nick Paul, because he was so important to the series last year in Toronto. 1 goal in 38 games going in. But at the end, did you see anything from his game that kind of shows that maybe he's close to getting kind of off this schneid here and how important he could be in this series for the Lightning?
Not enough offensively, I don't think. He had a couple of chances there in the finale against Detroit, and you'd have really liked to see him score a goal. Of all the positives that went on in that game, from Points and, Hagel hitting 30 and Cologne hitting a career high and Elliott getting the shutout, a lot of positive things. I would have loved to have seen Nick Paul get a goal, because you kind of need his offense going. And, you look at the difference Nick Paul in the first 3 months of the season and then the final 3 months of the season, he was getting those shots off from the top of the circles to the hash marks. And we just haven't seen him in those areas to get those shots off enough. And, sitting next to Chief a lot, he always talks about how Nick Paul has gotten too much east-west and not enough north-south in his game in the second half of the season. So you want to see him get back to being that type of a player, because he has the size, the grit, everything that you like about Nick Paul's game. You just want to see him add some offense, because obviously, those 2 goals in Game 7 obviously meant a lot to the team's success to kind of get them back to a Stanley Cup final last year.
Eric Erlinson joining us here live from the Bolts practice here today. And Eric, I don't think Tanner's going to play in maybe Game 1 or 2. So that's probably still the case. So what does the lineup look like, you think, when judging from the lines that you've seen in the last week and a half, which I know have been a little different because I think maybe Coop's trying to find some stuff. They already locked up their spot. So what do you think we're going to see?
Well, looking at what's going on out here today, you've got the big three together with Stamkos, Point, and Kucherov as sort of an offensive line. I know Chief cringes when he thinks about their defensive play and putting those three guys together. We'll see what that looks. We know what they can do offensively, but they got to be better in their own end as well. It looks like they're going to put back Sorelli, Killorn, and Hagel, which was obviously a very effective shutdown line in the playoffs last year. Especially as the playoffs went on, the series against the Rangers and the Panthers, those three were terrific in shutdown mode. Yeah. And then what's the bottom six going to look like? And it looks like Asamont's been skating here with Colton and Paul, so that looks like it's going to be the third line. And then it's going to come down to is Gino ready? So I don't know. I don't like the idea of Maroon, Perry, and Belmar together in this series. I was worried about it last year when they were playing well. They haven't played well together this year. So having those three together would kind of worry me a little bit. So we'll see what that means for Gino, moving forward. But that looks like those are the four lines that at least will start tomorrow night.
And offensive firepower aside, because we both teams have it in abundance, is it still remain going in this series? And you can almost say it about most series Lightning are going to play in, that the edge in net between Vasilevsky and, do we still even have an update of who's going to be in net for Toronto? That seems like that's still the biggest mismatch. Right?
Oh, it's going to be Samsonov.
Samsonov?
Yeah. There's no doubt that he was kind of, they held him out the last couple of games because he stretched the muscle or something. So, they took a precaution with him. So it'll be Samsonov to start. I don't think Matt Murray is going to be the backup, but, as we saw from Joseph Wall, who was here last week, he was really good in that game. So, he might actually be the better of their three goalies right now, to be honest with you. A lot of people think that in the short amount of NHL experience that Wall has, but there's no doubt it's going to be Samsonov to start for Toronto.
And his playoff resume is 1-6, 1-5, something. He's only won one playoff game, right?
Yeah, it's not very good in his time with Washington. And boy, how ironic is it that the Capitals let go of both Samsonov and Vitek Vanacek, and they're both starting for their respective teams to open the playoffs. That's kind of crazy if you're a Capitals fan.
Right, they're always looking for goalies. Here they are with other teams. But, how does that play into the series? Because, look, Vasi has kind of been, as he goes, the Lightning go, right? And he hasn't been on his incredibly focused game most of the regular season, but that means nothing to me because I know what this guy does in the playoffs, and he's not hurt, so I expect him to be the difference in this series. Would you agree?
For sure, and he might have to steal the series in some ways. But at the other end, you've got a guy who doesn't have a lot of playoff success. There's a massive microscope on this team in Toronto and in Canada in general. What happens the first time he gives up a bad goal? How's he going to handle it? The pressure that comes with that, with all the issues that the Leafs have had with their goaltending over the last number of years, despite how good of a team they've been, from Freddie Anderson and Jack Campbell, they all had good regular season numbers, but they just couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And is Samsonov going to be that same type of guy? So it's curious to see, what happens the first couple of times he lets in goals that maybe cost them a game. Then it becomes a different story. To me, the other storyline in this, look, you look around everybody with their predictions. Mm-hmm. I hardly see anybody picking the Lightning for this series. Mm-hmm. So not only is it, the Lightning coming in as a perceived heavy underdog, the Leafs are also fighting their own history. Right. So the Leafs are matched up against themselves as much as they are the Lightning, and the Lightning coming in loose. They're an underdog. Toronto's the heavy favorite. They got home ice. There's a lot of pressure on Toronto in this series.
2004, correct?
Correct. That is the last time that they won a playoff round and came within a game of actually facing the Lightning in the conference championship that year because the Philly-Toronto series won 7 games. So, it's been 3 lockouts was the last time the Leafs won a series.
Think about that, folks. That was the Lightning's first Stanley Cup title. How long ago do we look back on that as so long ago? And the Leafs have not won a first-round series since then.
And they've lost 5 straight series deciding games.
Yes, that's right. Man. Well, that's a lot of pressure. And with all the media in Canada on top of these guys, you know what it's like. You're in those scrums. Can you describe what it's like for the Toronto players to have to answer these questions time and time and time again?
It's intense. There's no doubt. I've told this story a couple times. I shared this on your show. My first year covering the team for the Tribune, would have been 01-02. So we're in Toronto. My first trip into Toronto for the first time. So my first experience dealing with it, right? Corey Cross, former Lightning defenseman, was on the Leafs at the time, and he was kind of coming back from injury, so he was skating for the first time. And he's one of the last guys off the ice. And, hey, nice little note. Let's talk to Corey Cross about facing the Lightning. So I get in the locker room, and we're just kind of waiting around. And as soon as Corey Cross walks into the locker room, I'm not kidding, I nearly got run over by the TV cameras and the other media that were there. And there's more media now, right? There's more independent media. There's team media. So there's even more now. I literally almost got spun around trying to get to Corey Cross's locker room. And it's Corey Cross. It wasn't like it was Matt Sundin at that time, right? So that's the type of media scrutiny that they have. They do have to answer it. But, in today's game, too, these guys are so media savvy. They've been dealing with, especially the top stars, the Marners and Matthews. They've been in the spotlight since they were 15, 16 years old. So they're used to dealing with it. It is a lot. It can be a grind from day to day, and it gets worse in the playoffs because you've got more national outlets taking place. So yeah, if they find a way to, if the Lightning find a way to win game number one, you know what all the questions are going to be heading into game two, and that just intensifies.
Yeah, and I think the fact we kind of went over with now is it Samsonov or Samsonov? Because Brian Engblom the other night was saying Samsonov, and I'm like, okay, well then maybe it's his. It's not the luggage. It's Samsonov. I don't know, but I do know this: he hasn't played in 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
No. He played a week ago Monday against the Panthers. He actually stopped 45 shots for them, and you know what? I heard Michigan having this conversation with one of the Toronto guys when they were here. He was Samsonov in Washington. Now he's Samsonov in Toronto. It's just one of those things.
The French pronunciation. Okay. That's fine. Now, Eric, before I let you go, so if there's one guy that needs to step up for the Lightning right now, and, not of the top guys, your stars got to be your stars. That one guy who needs to score, 3 or 4 goals in this first round and get his game going, would that be Nick Paul? Who would it be for you?
I would put Paul in that category. I'd also put Corey Perry in that category. Okay. Corey Perry did not have the same type of regular season he had last year.
Right.
He is the type of player in the playoffs that can make a huge difference, even at this point of his career. He's not a 50-goal guy anymore by any stretch of the imagination, but he can be effective, and he can be effective getting under players' skin. One of my favorite parts of the playoffs last year was round 2 against Florida. And I think it was right off the face-off of Game 2. Florida felt they were pushed around in Game 1, so they wanted to come out and try and set a physical tone. And they put their, Patrick Hornqvist and, I forget the otother guy off the top of my head, but they tried to be physical, right? Well, Corey Perry stood up Hornqvist. Hornqvist knocked to the ice, and there's this freeze frame of Corey Perry with a maniacal laugh. Right at I'm in your head, you're done, you've got nothing. That's the type of intimidation that can go into a playoff series. So scoring wise, but also being the worm that Corey Perry can be, as long as he stays within the lines, no jabs to the nether regions like he can be prone to do from time to time. While that can get under a guy's skin, it can also put you in the penalty box. And that's the one thing in this series you need to avoid, is not give Toronto's power play too many opportunities, because they are so good with the man advantage. Burned them last year early in the series. So you want to avoid that for sure here again in this one. But I think Corey Perry in a lot of ways has an opportunity to kind of redeem himself, because his plus minus is one of the worst, in the league. I think I even saw of all the playoff teams, he has the worst plus minus for any forward still playing in the playoffs that's played a certain amount of games. So he has a chance to kind of turn that around a little bit because of his style of play that he can do in the postseason.
Yeah, I think last year they came in with one of the best power plays in the game at 26%, and they went 4 for 26. And that was the reason that really the Lightning won that series. As the series went on, they could not score a power play, and the Lightning, PK is going to have to be that good this year as well. All right, my friend, tell everybody how they can get Lightning Insider coverage for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the website, lightninginsider.com. Again, the code is still out there, JP, $10 off the first year of a yearly subscription. So that's where you can get that. Of course, me and Chief will be back with the pregame skate show. It's 1 hour before every face-off, so we'll be on the air tomorrow at 6:30. That's on the Strike 102.5 HD2, Lightning Radio 24/7. On the Lightning mobile app, we'll have the last call for road games as well as soon as the game is over. And JP, thanks for the time as always, man. Look forward to another playoff run.
Thank you, my friend, and we'll see you at the arena on Saturday when the Lightning get home. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, boys. Be well.
Eric Erlinson right there, live from Amalie Arena with the pucks going on in the background. I love that.
Love it.
Love that
Love
sound.
it.
As much as, I watched a little NBA this weekend because it's playoffs. There's intensity. There's actually,
there is.
Some good. I probably watched 3 games yesterday. Not, pieces of them. Good stuff coming down to the wire. But the intensity of NHL hockey, totally different deal.
Nothing beats it.
Cannot wait.
It's the hardest trophy to win in sports. They say it every year. It's the hardest postseason by far. It really is like a war of attrition, they say.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, again, nobody's more battle-tested than the Lightning.
Yeah.
Nobody is. And, he mentioned Corey Perry there at the end, who's nobody's talking about. I feel like he has one of those, like, under-the-radar storylines going in as a guy who has so much incentive to win because, remember, he's been to 3 Stanley Cups in a row. 3 in a row. He's lost to this team twice, and then he lost with them.
Mm-hmm.
And
so 4 in a row. 4 in a row.
So this is his. No, he's lost 3 in a row.
That's right, 3.
Yeah, he's lost 3 in a row. And going to this season, like you mentioned, not the season he won. By the way, the number was he was minus 28. Corey Perry. He was plus 9 the year prior. So that kind of shows you. It wouldn't surprise me if this was his last season, his last playoff run. So that's a guy who has a lot of added incentive. And as Eric said, he's a shit stirrer.
Yeah,
that's his role. That's his role, and I think that's. I wonder who that guy is going to be on Toronto, and we're probably going to find out tomorrow who that guy is going to be. But that's going to be one of those matches I'm looking forward to.
Well, and I think Eric mentioned that line too, Belmar, Maroon, and Perry.
They cannot play together.
Yeah,
there's just no way you can go back to that.
Yeah, that's a liability.
Because if you put that line together, at best, I'm giving them like 6 minutes a night. And that's just, there's nothing you could do with that.
Yeah, that's you wonder if there might be some other moves that are made and maybe some other guys get in there. And Cooper won't hesitate. He will not hesitate. If he sees something that's not working in this series, he's not going to hesitate. He'll switch up the lines. He'll get other guys in there. He'll move people around.
Yeah, and
he doesn't wait.
No, and I like the energy. I think we both would agree that Asamont has brought to the team.
There's no question. And he's a guy who just got his first goal the other night. If somehow they can get some scoring out of him, because he creates chances.
He's all over the place. Yeah.
He's stealing the puck. He's getting a stick on pucks all the time. That's a guy that could be a big help. But I think they're going to need that. They're going to need some secondary guy to really step up and have a big postseason run to get them going.
And that's always been the way they've operated. Who scored the big goals in 2020? It was Blake Coleman who did it.
Yeah.
Who scored them in 2021?
Nick Paul.
Ross Colton.
And
2022, Nick Paul.
Yeah.
It's always been one of those guys on the third line. So, again, Nick Paul, we didn't talk about Ross Colton. He's just as important. He scored a lot of big goals for this team in the past, and they need that as well because, it's interesting. They're going with if it's Point, Kucherov, and Stamkos. If they go with that in round 1, that's pretty interesting, but that just tells you they're going to need a lot more from the other 3 lines.
Yeah. Interesting story. I think it was Ed Encina who wrote this. Christy Ackert in the Times about Anthony Cirelli and Mitch Marner who work out together in the off season, and they're going to be matched up against each other in this series, and it's got to be interesting. One of your good friends and a guy that you work out with all summer long, or guys that they're obviously good friends, but you got to shelve that, man. You got to build up a hate in your heart.
There will be.
You have to. That's got to be hard to do, though. I would think.
I don't think it is for these guys.
No,
when they get out there, I don't think so at all. We've seen brothers go up against each other many
that's
times
easy
in the
to hate your brother. That's not hard at all. But just another friend, a guy that you leaned on, you work out with.
We put it aside.
I guess.
Because Anthony Cirelli's role in this series is to shut down that line.
Yeah.
That's his role.
Yeah, he said it'll be another good battle. Those are the fun ones to battle, though. We've had some throughout the whole summer. We do drills on ice, and we're battling, and obviously to bring it to the NHL level is fun. It's a bit weird, but that's how it works. I would say so. It's got to be a bit weird, no doubt about it. I think, though, even though Samsonov has been still a week and a half is a long time for a starting goalie. It's a long time to not face the pressure and the speed of the game. There might be a little rust early on. But as I think about it, Bassi hasn't played since last Tuesday either.
Yep.
So it's going to be a week for him. Listen, we know how important goaltending can be in the playoffs, and it doesn't go any further than that. If Bassi is not at his tip-top game, the Lightning have no chance.
No chance.
No chance.
At all.
They're defensively, they're not as good as they have been with Ryan McDonough and Palat out there. It's just but it is a different season, and I'm excited to see who steps up and who plays their ass off. And maybe Kucherov starts scoring more, which I think he needs to do.
Well, listen, you talk about playoff performers. He has more points in the last 3 postseasons. I think it's 93 points, if you can believe it, in the last 3 postseasons for Nikita Kucherov. Just an insane number. That's 30 more than the next guy, which is Nathan McKinnon in Colorado. So when you talk about Nikita Kucherov and him needing to maybe score more a little bit, let's keep in mind this is the best playoff performer that we have seen in the NHL probably over the past decade.
Yeah.
That's how good this guy is in the postseason. So, again, the questions are never with the stars with this team. If you're going to question any star at the moment, I'm probably looking at Victor Hedman just because it hasn't been one of his seasons.
Nope.
This is his lowest point total in, I think, about 10 years this season. So the offensive output has not been there.
There was early on, something happened. He got an injury to his hand or his wrist or something, and it just hasn't been right all year long. And, I mean, we haven't seen that powerful slap shot as much.
Nope.
So I think it's something to do with that.
Yeah, but this is a Conn Smythe. This is a former Conn Smythe winner that knows how to play in the postseason.
Hell
so
yes.
if you're really looking for a star to step up,
maybe this is what he's been waiting for.
I think that's the hope.
Yeah,
that's the hope, that he's been kind of conserving energy a little bit.
Mm-hmm. For a lot of guys, emotional and physical energy. The regular season is done. The drudgery is over. This is what you play for, Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's see. I've said it, for the past couple of months, we have not seen the best of the Lightning. And I would not be shocked if they go out there and hand it to Toronto in Game 1. I would not. I would not be shocked. I also wouldn't be shocked if Toronto hands it to the Lightning in Game 1 like they did last year. That wouldn't shock me either. I think this Lightning team is a wild card. I just don't think they have seemed bored and uninterested for the entire regular season. That's been my take on.
Yeah, and every now and then they've come to remind you of who they are,
exactly.
and then they go back out of it.
When they have to, right. And then they go back.
Yeah, and by the way, they did. We talked about some of the lines there with Eric, and I saw all of them came out here. That second line right now looks new. It's Ross Colton, Nick Paul, and Asamont is the second line rushes right now. And then Hagel, Killorn, and Cirelli on the third, and they still have that line, the school bus line, together at the moment. But again, I don't know how long that's going to last.
Mm-hmm.
And then Darren Radish also looks like he's earned his way into the top 6 officially.
Yep, I think we've been talking about that for a couple weeks now, and that's a bold move. That's a bold move for Cooper to give a rookie like that type of responsibility. But he's earned it, and he's going to have to step up. Yep. Think about this: did you have Perbix and Radish in your top 4?
Did I have Perbix playing with Hedman?
Yeah.
Did
you have Perbix in the preseason? Did you have those two? Those two. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is what we're going to get. No.
Not really.
No. None of us did. But that's what I love about this team. It's a meritocracy. Coop don't care what your contract number is, what your pedigree is. It's who gives us the best chance to win right now. Who plays better with whom, and those are the guys we'll see. It's good stuff. That's why he's the coach of the year. Not as many times as he should have been.
He's never been the coach of the year, by the way. And he's only been a finalist twice.
That's right. He's never won the
He is the longest tenured NHL coach in some time, and he's by far the best coach, but he's never won it.
He's not won the Jack Adams. He's won some other ones, like other publications and stuff.
Yeah, but never the official one.
Not the official
and only been
one.
a finalist twice.
That's ridiculous.
Not saying this is the year for him to be up for it by any means, but there should have been some years before that.
That's ridiculous. Think about that. He's the most successful coach. Like, the numbers that he's put up are with the Hall of Famers of the game.
He's a Hall of Fame head coach.
Most wins in the first 800, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach, and he's never won the Jack
Adams. He is, I think, in the, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think he's every bit in the Scotty Bowman tier of head coaches.
The numbers suggest it.
And I'd argue his is more impressive because of the salary cap era and doing it in a non-traditional hockey power.
Of course.
And coaching these guys for like 10 years and everything in the salary cap era, which is incredibly difficult to do.
Right.
So I put him up in that like top 10 at least category of all time, probably in the top 5, to be honest, when it's all said and done.
What an embarrassment that he hasn't won that award.
Yeah, but again,
like
that's
the writers. But you know what that is? That's bias against Tampa by the writers.
Well, what they do, what that award trophy is turned into, and this is almost across all sports, they give the Manager of the Year award to the team that nobody saw coming.
Right.
Like we're going to award like the Buffalo head coach. Like Buffalo took strides this year, but Granato, I think, is his name. He's probably going to be in like the top 5 of that voting, even though they didn't make the playoffs. But because he's going to get that credit though because they were much better.
I would submit to you, especially in the salary cap era in any sport, keeping a team relevant and in the championship hunt, not just relevant, but in the finals, is ridiculously hard to keep them hungry
with the same
group,
keep
them motivated. Ridiculously hard to do. It's almost impossible, and he's been able to do that. Yet you're not the coach. Come on. It's just so you have the bias against Tampa Bay, number one, and then you have a bias against the coach that doesn't have the normal pedigree. You know, didn't come up playing the game.
That's always been held against him.
Always been held against. He's a lawyer. He's an outsider, so to speak. Well, not anymore. My God. I mean, come on. But I think there's always going to be that bias against him because of it.
That's fine.
Yeah,
he's still the best. He's still the best coach in football.
He's going to the Hall of
hockey.
He's going to. I know. I call the Bucks the Bolts the Bucks. It's like he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best to ever do it, and there's no way they could take that away from him. What do we have there?
Well, we got to go to break. I mean, we got to come back and talk about this.
Ooh, breaking news! There is in the NFC South.
Not in the NFC South, but in the NFL, there is a new highest paid player in NFL history.
Oh, really?
And maybe not who you thought it was going to be.
Huh.
So chew on that, everybody, for just a second.
Player.
Come back and tell you about it.
Okay. I'm interested. I hope you are too. All right, quick break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Go to their website to contact them to get the personal attention that your case deserves. You go with these bigger firms, folks. They ain't going to call you back. Trust me, I've been through it. Get with a local firm that's going to give you that personal attention. That's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. Folks, there is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. They'll make it a fun experience. People come from all over to shop at the Gold and Diamond Source because of their great customer service and incredible, impeccable reputation. No sales pressure, no intimidation, and they have the largest selection of hand-picked diamonds. And by the way, diamonds are the April birthstone. So this month only, they are offering 15% off their diamond birthstone collection, available on just select products. And you probably heard a lot about lab-created diamonds, folks. They hold no real value. You will have no resale value whatsoever with a lab-created diamond. And of course, it's fake. It doesn't mean as much. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, folks. Interest-free financing up to 5 years, a layaway program, 20% down, and only 6 monthly payments. And, of course, the Diamond Savings Account, where you get full value of your diamond when you look to upgrade. It's all there for you at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Homerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. As we roll through a Monday, getting ready for the NHL playoffs. Our thanks to Eric Erlinson for joining us there, and our thanks to Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Boy, they're getting a great response over there. The new True Body machine, something you got to jump on, give yourself some abs right away. It kind of shocks your inner core into activating and does all that super science stuff. I don't know what it did, but it works. I know that much. And they've got some great programs over there for weight loss as well. So if you're looking to get ready for boat season in the summer, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Get your health right with Chris Lugo and the gang over there. What else? Oh, my there. That's much better. I had to frame everything up here. Make the TV show look good. Absolutely. You want to get into a little bit of the NBA, what you watched yesterday, before we jump into some of the footballs? Oh, we got to get to this story first.
I did want to get to this story because this is gigantic news. New highest paid player in NFL history, and his name is Jalen Hurts. A 5-year, $255 million extension. That $179 million that is guaranteed. Also includes $15 million incentives, which means he can earn up to $54 million per year in new money, and up to $274 million through 2028. A absolutely monster deal for Jalen Hurts here, which I personally was not expecting.
No, he wouldn't have been the guy that I talked about, because he did say that he, wasn't going for top dollar.
It sounded like he was going to be that guy that took a little bit less, maybe extend the years a little bit to drive that number down so they could continue to field this really competitive team.
Of course, they can do that later. They can rework the contract and add, which they'll probably do. But we got to keep in mind here, cap went up $25 million this year.
Correct.
It's going to go up at least $25 million next year. So last year it was $208, I believe. And as the new money kicks in, and the new money is double what the old money was. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be closer to a $350 to $400 million cap here by the time that contract's over.
Yep.
So while it sounds ridiculous right now, it's not going to be in the future. And the agents know this, and the teams know this, and maybe a lot of that contract is backloaded as well. So we don't know what the individual hits are in years. But when you're doing a new contract like this, and honestly they'll plan to do voidable years, they can mold it into anything they want at this point.
And when you say
he's going to get his money.
Yeah, when you say it's like a crazy deal, it sounds crazy. I'll just preface this: I am not by any means going to tell you this guy doesn't deserve the money.
Oh no, hell no.
By no means am I to say that. I just have concerns, I guess, about Philly, because they came so close this time, and I don't know what this roster is going to look like. They've lost some guys. They're going to lose this veteran kind of stretch, these veteran guys that have been there for a while in the next couple years. So I have concerns about how much – we talk about this all the time. You got to maximize your window when you have that rookie quarterback.
Yeah, the Kelsey is playing – he's coming back this year. They're center, but he's what,
the Kelseys,
35,
the Grahams, the Cox, all those – Lane Johnson, all those guys are going to be gone in the next couple years.
Who are a huge part of what they did last year.
Exactly.
Huge part. Yeah. So they're going to have to go through some. But again, it sounds like a lot now, but it's not going to be as much in the future.
Yeah, but it's still a thing though. When you're paying a quarterback $55 million a year, essentially, they're paying A.J. Brown $25 million a year. So you're tying up about $80 million plus in 2 players on your salary cap.
It's a lot.
It's still hard. It's whatever the cap is going to be. That's still going to be really hard to navigate through.
Yeah.
I mean, the Packers couldn't do it. The Chiefs couldn't do it.
His cap hit is not going to be $55 million this year or in the next few years. It's probably going to be closer to 30.
If they can rework it and get it down.
No,
No,
even now I think.
It's right now. It's $51 million is what it's set to be.
This cap hit this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't have to do that. I wonder what
for next year.
did.
For next year.
For next year.
Yeah.
For next
this
year,
year it's on his last year of his rookie deal. Like they were going to get an extension done, no matter what this offseason. But obviously a little bit bigger than I was.
So it'll be 51 in 2 seasons.
In 2024.
2024, which the cap will probably go. Yeah.
And he ain't going to be and by the way, he's not going to be the longest or the highest paid player in NFL history for long.
Oh no.
Because
no,
coming right after him is Mr. Burrow.
Yep.
And Herbert, who I don't think Justin Herbert. I still have my concerns about him as a true quarterback that can win. It's just me, but I know that for his talent, he's going to get whatever the highest rate is.
I kind of feel like his coaching staff has held him back.
It has held him back. It's the Chargers. They always have the injury boo-boo. I saw this crazy stat about the Chargers this year that when Herbert, Allen, and Mike Williams were all on the field this year, Herbert's completion percentage was like 77%. And he was like, his numbers were up there with like he was the best quarterback in the league when he had those 2 guys on the field.
Don't let your eyes deceive you. He's a top 5 quarterback in this league. He is. He is. He is.
He's won squat. I know there are reasons for that.
His coach is a moron.
I know there are reasons for
4th
that.
and 17 at my own 20. Let's go.
I like my
We got a great quarterback.
I like my quarterbacks to overcome just a little bit more.
You can't. When you're not
there's
pulling
numbers,
the strings.
There's numbers out there that he wilts in the big moments. They're out there.
My eyes don't deceive me. He's a stud. And when he gets with a good, mature coach that knows, and it's not just on game day. That's just the stuff we see. Think about all the shenanigans that must be going on behind the scenes with that joke of an organization and a head coach that's a knucklehead. He's a knucklehead. And you mentioned all the injuries as well. It's hard to put winning and losing. I mean, you got to look deeper. And he's got a knucklehead head coach and, an organization that has historically been as bad as it gets. And to me, he's kept them afloat. That's how good he is. And when he gets everything right, if that organization ever gets it right or he gets traded to a good organization, you'll see how great a quarterback and a great leader he can be.
Probably so.
I mean, look at Trevor Lawrence. Look at the difference between competent coaching and incompetent coaching. It's dramatic. No matter how talented you are, and I'd say both of those guys are about equally as talented, you will be held back in a team game like in the NFL like this. You will be held back if you have a knucklehead head coach in a bad organization. You just will.
Well, that's fair, but until he decides to win anything. I mean, listen, I don't care what you have as an incompetent this. When you're up 27-0 in a playoff game, you got to put a team away. And nobody wants to talk about the fact that offense, led by Justin Herbert, went no-show in the second half against Jacksonville. That can't happen.
Yeah,
that can't happen.
They totally put it in the deep freeze. Yeah,
it can't happen. So my problem with Justin Herbert and why I wouldn't give him more money than a Hurts or a Burrow, because he's not Joe Burrow and he's not Patrick Mahomes, and I don't think he's Josh Allen. I don't think he's in that tier. But we're putting him in that tier just automatically.
Not automatically. I mean, I watched the guy play.
He's not Mahomes. He's not Burrow.
I'm not saying he is right now, but in the right organization, you'll be able to one day make that argument. He's that talented. If he ever gets there, and maybe he will not.
Yeah, but
he will not.
For Jalen Hurts, though, we talked a lot about him at the Super Bowl. Again, this is so cool, though, for Jalen Hurts, is it not? For his story, his background, and everything, right? Like, this is like storybook for him. And to have the season he did, probably should have won the – you could have made an argument for him winning Super Bowl MVP with not even winning the Super Bowl. Like, that's how good he was. Mm-hmm. And he caps it off as the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. Well,
good for him. I mean, look what he's come back from, like, there were probably times when he thought he'd never even make it to the NFL, getting replaced like that. And here he is, the highest paid player in the NFL, coming off a Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah, and what do we talk about all the
Not too
time?
shabby.
If I'm giving guys $50 million, like, I want to know that I can sleep at night and not worry about it. And he's
that guy.
More so than probably anybody in the
that
league,
guy.
he personifies that.
He's that
whereas the guy in Cleveland,
Not so much?
Not so much, no.
Not so much? Doesn't deserve $240 million guaranteed?
I don't think so, no.
I still say to this day, that is the most dumbfounding story. I mean, I'm not saying I'm best friends with the dude, but, I mean, I was a huge Deshaun Watson fan. Not only just because of the way he played on the field and the people that doubted him. I was shocked when he fell in the draft. And which maybe that was the reason he fell in the draft. I don't know. Who knows? Some people knew what we didn't know. And, talking to Jeff Scott about him, talking to other people at Clemson about him, and everybody that came in contact with him just raved about him as a human being. And, and watching his interviews, and interviewed him a couple times in a larger situation, seemed like the most sincere guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just totally had me fooled. Totally had me fooled. I didn't know any,
I think he caught everybody off guard.
Yeah.
You never know.
And then the weird part is, still to this day, when he's pressed on it, he's like, I didn't do anything wrong.
It's the
I didn't do anything. What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, either this is the biggest frame job in history, by which I wouldn't put past the Houston organization whatsoever. Those people are just bizarre, beyond weird. Rich people do crazy, stupid stuff, and that's what they do. But, I mean, the evidence is just overwhelming against him. And still to this day, and here he is, highest paid player, highest guaranteed contract in NFL history, 33 rape
Think about it. He
sexual
got,
assault allegations.
What is that, $60 million, $70 million more guaranteed than he got than Jalen Hurts? Yeah, and that tells you right there that these teams are, like you've been saying, they're not going to let Cleveland and their F-up dictate what the market is going to be.
No.
And I think that kind of –
Lamar Jackson needs to
I was going to
realize
point that out because everybody's going to now see, like, well, how does this affect the Lamar Jackson negotiations? Does he need to realize that, hey, I don't need to be asking for Deshaun Watson money because nobody's giving me that money? Because if Philadelphia wouldn't even give Jalen Hurts $250 million, what makes you think anybody's giving him
And I'm here
that?
to tell you, if the Ravens would offer that to him, and I think they already have.
If they offer that contract right there,
and Lamar said no,
then I'm looking at Lamar like.
Well, I mean, what's the most that's been reported that they've offered him? Like $120 million guaranteed?
I want to say it might have been one of the offers floated out was like 3 years, $133 million.
I mean, what more do you want? Good God!
And
I mean, $250 million.
Also,
obviously.
again, hate to go back to it, but if you had an agent, potentially, then we could.
The agent would be telling you this is a good deal.
Yeah,
take
we could.
This is a good deal. Take
We could end this whole song and dance right now. And also, too, the report over the weekend where it sounded like he demanded. This is from Michael Lombardi, I think. He was demanded that the Ravens go out and get OBJ and DeAndre Hopkins, and then he'll start discussing again about a contract. So now he's like trying to push his weight around to get two very elder receivers with injury histories and large contracts. And I think he basically forced the Ravens into giving Odell Beckham Jr. $18 million.
Which is a disaster of a contract.
So now they're kind of letting Lamar pull the strings. And to an extent, you kind of have to because you really need the quarterback.
Doesn't Lamar understand if you overpay at that position, it's going to be less money that goes to him?
I would like to think, but again, he doesn't have an agent.
Most bizarre situation ever. At least the Bucs don't have to worry about that.
No.
All right, so there's a ton of mock drafts out there. Josh Capo from Pewter Report just came out with his mock draft, and he has the Bucs selecting with the 19th selection in the 2023 NFL Draft. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Broderick Jones, Georgia, offensive tackle. Broderick Jones. Nobody has a problem with that pick. I mean, when you get one of the better offensive tackles in the draft, it's not a big deal. I just don't. I think Jason Light is sitting there going, I drafted Luke Gedeke, and I drafted Hainsey. Both of those guys are starters in this league. I'm not forcing my hand at number 19 to take an offensive tackle because I have enough good offensive linemen right now that I don't have to spend. I have bigger needs, and the best player on the board right there may not be an offensive tackle, but it may be. I mean, I don't have a problem with that pick. You can never have enough good offensive linemen, and at 19 to get it, that's pretty good value right there, because I think he'd be the third tackle off the board. Darnell Wright in his mock draft goes to the Jets there. Paris Johnson Jr.
Yeah, those are the three.
Yeah. So
and
goes
Skoronski.
Yeah.
So there's four.
Yeah. And he'd be the fourth tackle off the draft at 19.
Well, Tristan Wirfs was the fourth tackle off the board.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. So I don't have a huge problem with it, and there's a lot of edge rushers that are going before him in this mock draft from Josh Capo.
Yeah, that's the thing you have to keep in mind. Like, I would love for the pick to be an edge, preferably.
But if it's a sixth edge rusher, no.
But I don't want to force it, exactly.
Right, exactly.
If it's the sixth edge rusher, because probably those guys are going to go pretty early.
Right.
A lot of them are going to go really early, especially with all this quarterback shuffling going on around. It's going to get – let's just put it this way. From 1 in 20, I don't think what it shows right now, the teams that are in those slots, I don't think it's going to look anything like that by the time we get there. I think there's going to be a lot of movement going around.
Yeah, this one, Josh's mock draft has Houston trading with Indianapolis and the Colts coming up to select Anthony Richardson.
Hearing a lot about that.
The Colts have been tied to Anthony Richardson a lot. So that could be where this draft shapes out. And by the way, he has Bryce Young going number 1 overall to the Carolina Panthers.
I think Schefter even said it seems like a formality that's happening, that it's Bryce Young number 1. If Schefter said it this early, then it sounds like there ain't nothing that's going to sway Carolina at this point. That's the guy.
I can't. I don't know, man. I see a lot of Tua in him.
Well, who is your number 1? Because we've talked a lot about these quarterbacks. Who is your number 1 quarterback? You don't see a consensus number 1.
It's hard, man. I mean, Bryce Young has done everything you want to ask the kid to do. But you turn on that Alabama tape, and time to time, you do see great escapes. The guy can run and throw and do everything you can. But it's just, in the NFL, they're going to force you to sit in that pocket as much as they can.
He can do it, though.
I know, but look at the pockets that he passes from in Alabama. I turn on the tape, and it's like, from a comparative standpoint, these pockets are like this. He can step 2 and 3 steps up into the ball. You can actually see him a little bit, probably. Whereas in the NFL, it's like this. It's like a closet.
But let's keep in mind, this year at Alabama, this was not the typical. This was not the typical Alabama team that we're accustomed to seeing this past year. There wasn't the same guys on the skill positions out wide that they've had in years past. And I'd argue it wasn't the same O-line that they've had in years past. I thought he was under more duress this year than maybe any Alabama quarterback in the last 10, 15 years. And again, like you said, everything that's been asked out of Bryce Young, I think he's exceeded the expectations. He was a number 1 overall player in his class. There's a lot of expectations you're the number 1 overall player at Alabama, and he's done everything you can ask. And the only thing we're going to hold him back on is because he's 5'11". Is that what we're doing?
Well, let me ask you this
Whereas
question.
every other quarterback, I can poke a hole somewhere.
How many quarterbacks under 6 feet have won the Super Bowl in the past 25 years, past 30 years?
Steve Young. Is he under 6 foot?
No, I don't think so. I think Russell Wilson is the only one.
Russell Wilson.
That's it. And if you go and look at
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees is right at 6 foot, maybe 6 foot and a half.
Or pinching pennies.
Yeah, they're few and far between. And you look at the quarterbacks by PFF rankings. Is this the PFF ranking right here?
Mm-hmm.
From last year? Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Tua is number 4. But how many games did he play? Not enough.
Like 11.
And I'm not sure if he's going to play again. Jalen Hurts is 6'2", right?
6'3".
6'3". Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence, Andy Dalton. I mean,
Brock Purdy.
There's Brock Purdy. What's Brock Purdy?
Wait, actually, we debunked that. He's over 6 foot.
Yeah, he's over 6 foot.
Yeah.
It's just hard to play in this league for so many. And when I watched the way Tua, and it's not just his height, but it's his weight. Like Russell, think about Russell. Russell has always been built. I mean, he's a thick dude.
Yeah, like
thick
I'll
legs.
use the call in. He called him Trunky.
He's Trunky, yeah.
Yeah.
Bryce is 100. I don't care if he's 205 at the combine, whatever. He had lead weight underwear on. I can guarantee it. He plays at 185, 190, very Tua-esque, and it just they get thrown around like rag dolls, and that's how Tua's concussions have happened.
So you think he's Tua from the right side?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And which is to say,
I would argue Bryce though is a far superior arm talent than Tua. Far superior.
Tua's got some damn good arm talent. I mean, he's accurate. Now, Bryce has probably got a little bit more velocity on the ball.
A lot more velocity.
Yeah. I don't want to knock the guy, and it's just such a size thing, and that's all it is.
So
that's all it is.
So
he has every other attribute.
So do you think Stroud is one? Because I know how you feel about Anthony Richardson.
You hear a lot of bad stuff about Stroud. I mean, from Ohio State people, my Ohio State insiders. He's got all the talent in the world, but the word diva is thrown around.
So you're not
immature.
sold on any other quarterbacks.
No, I'm not.
Because we're hyping this class up like this is you have to get a quarterback in this class.
It's always that way, right? 2 years ago, everybody's saying, "Oh, this was going to be a weak class."
Yeah, there was 5 quarterbacks in the top 15,
and then it's a great class, and you get down to it. Now it's this is always a fact. The closer you get to draft day, the better these quarterbacks all become. Anthony Richardson has suddenly gone from a guy that couldn't break the starting lineup at Florida to the number 2 overall pick. Because of what?
Because he's the most athletically gifted quarterback to probably come through this process.
Right. And I understand that the league is moving that way. So that's where I start to, if this was 10 years ago and Anthony Richardson came along, I'd say Jamarcus Russell.
The first pick in this draft 10 years ago would be Will Levis.
Yeah, exactly. Probably. Or Hendon Hooker, if he wasn't injured. Yeah, but Hendon Hooker would be a better drop back, better arm talent. Of all these guys, arm talent wise, the most accurate, the most NFL throws that I see on tape are Hendon Hooker. He to me is the most gifted thrower of the football. Now he's, I talk about size. He's a little too spindly for my liking. He's too skinny.
Yeah, he's skinny.
He's Vince Young skinny. He's just, I feel like Teddy Bridgewater skinny. He just doesn't have the girth to handle that's my problem with Hendon Hooker. I don't know if he can handle the rigors of the NFL. But
with the injury already there.
With the injury, two ACLs already there. So it's just, he looks like, he's got those thoroughbred legs, and but man, he can throw the football. He can throw the football. I just love his deep ball, his accuracy. He just throws the ball. As gifted a thrower, I think, as there is in this class. So, but I think there's knocks on all these guys. I think Bryce Young is too small. I think Anthony Richardson is too raw, and I don't know if he can be as effective against these complex NFL defenses that are going to do everything they can to take away his athleticism and make him, they're going to get to your basic weakness. Will Levis is just not as accurate as I would like him to be. He's got a lot of great qualities, but I think, the junior season was fantastic. The senior season wasn't. He was injured. Bad people around him. I get all that, but it's a knock.
The Blaine Gabbert comparison that Scott Reynolds said on our show last week, I saw that actually from PFF, I want to say this week. That was his comp.
Yeah.
And they also polled executives around the league, and the name Blaine Gabbert came up.
Yeah.
That scares me.
Yeah.
And you have a team of executives saying that his comp is Blaine Gabbert.
And then you got Hendon Hooker, who in my mind is, a great thrower, but very, I don't know if he can handle the rigors. Who am I forgetting?
No, that's the 5.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I go look at, some of these your shorter quarterbacks that have been taken. Baker Mayfield, I think, is 6'1", right?
Yeah. Teddy Bridgewater's another one.
Yeah.
Obviously, Manziel.
Kyler Murray, has had flashes of brilliance, but he can't stay healthy either.
Yeah, and he's got an ACL now.
Yeah, he's got an ACL now. We're saying that Lamar Jackson, 2 years, he can't finish the season. He can't play in the playoffs. So it's
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. That didn't work out so well. So again, it is hard to play quarterback in this league. You got to be so good at so many different things. And look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not the most gifted thrower of the football, but he has made himself into a damn good passer. A damn good passer. He's not a natural thrower, but he became a damn good passer. He worked his ass off at it, and is now a very effective. And in the offense that they run, he's as good as it gets. Mm-hmm. He really did. I think Justin Fields can be the same thing if given an organization around him.
Yeah, I see a lot of similarities there.
Absolutely. Justin is such a gifted runner, and he could throw the football. But all these other guys, so much is about where you go and who you get with. And that's going to help you or determine.
I think the guys who get to Carolina have a puncher's chance because of Frank Reich and everything that he's done. I think they got and Josh McCown working there, who's a vet. I think you have a puncher's chance there. I think the place that I would struggle where I just don't know if I'd like it is Indianapolis. To me, is the one that to me is all over the place.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was going to mention this. Jim Irsay, who's the most erratic owner in the NFL. Did you see his tweet yesterday?
Yeah. What? All over the boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Openly coming out and saying, we could take this guy, or we could take this guy, or we could trade down. Or maybe we'll take a quarterback, or maybe not.
I need some attention. I'm going to put this out.
Yeah, and he puts a picture of all the 4 quarterbacks here.
I need some attention.
You're not talking about me enough.
Yeah, I'm going to put this out there. Yeah, that's
I don't know if I'd want to go there.
That was a cry for attention. If I'm the Panthers, first of all, I wouldn't have moved up. I wouldn't have moved up and spent all that capital, but I'm glad they did.
Really?
No. I think they could have moved up. They could have moved up to maybe 4 and gotten a good core. Gotten. I don't know which one of these guys is going to be the best, but you give up that much to go up, then you better know that guy's a can't miss. None of these guys are can't miss.
I don't think what they gave up was that bad.
None of these guys are can't miss. None of them. So if you're not moving up for a can't miss for number 1 overall, then I don't.
Would you preferred Carolina to take it one more year?
If I was
where
Carolina,
they were, and then next year would be the draft for you to try to trade up.
If
but
I
the
was
price
Carolina,
would be a lot higher.
First of all, if I was Carolina, I would have waited till draft day and then try to maneuver to get the guy that I want, and maybe would have spent a hell of a lot less. But you're going to get one of these guys. And if I were them, I would take. To me, C.J. Stroud is
your most complete
guy, because I think, I'm not going to be able to coach 6'2" out of Bryce Young. Now, am I going to be able to coach the diva and the entitlement out of C.J. Stroud? Probably. Maybe. Much better chance than the other way around, because the other way is not happening. Him, you bring into an organization, you sit him down, and you're like, bro, this ain't Ohio State anymore where everybody's going to smooch your ass 24/7 and give you everything you want. You are one of
And you know what's going
53.
in his direction what's going in his favor is against that Georgia defense last year. He put on by far the best performance that we've seen against that defense in the last 2 years.
And what was the knock on him? Well, he's not a great runner. He's not as much. And he's like,
he didn't run much.
Yeah, because he didn't want to. He didn't want to get hurt. These guys that go to Ohio State, I hear this a lot. It's like a feeder program to the NFL. It's like everything is about getting to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Guys aren't playing in bowl games. They're nursing injuries. Everything is about getting to the next level. It's super professional. And CJ, he's like, I'm not going to run around if I don't have to, but when I need to, I'll show you I can do it. And he did. And I think his stock went way up. But also that whole attitude of, me, you're not going to be respected in the locker room. Your older teammates are going to look down on you. They're not. It's going to be a tough go if you walk in with that attitude. So if I'm the Panthers, I got to make damn sure that I got to have some conversations with him before we bring him in. Listen, Bryce Young will have a good career in this league. I think he will, but I just don't know how high the ceiling is with his size. And I think there's a huge chance that he could be an oft-injured quarterback, much like Tua. So that's where I stand. Now, as far as where the Bucs go, if this mock draft is right, like so many that I see, Tyree Wilson, edge rusher, Texas Tech, gone with the 6th overall pick. Will Anderson, gone with the 3rd overall pick to the Cardinals. How many deep are we going into this? Miles Murphy to the Falcons, from Clemson. Lucas Van Ness, Iowa, to the Bears. I mean, it's going to be rather picked over for edge by the time the Bucs get there.
Which would tell me that if they really want to get an edge, you're going to get probably the 7th or 8th guy, and preferably you want to get it somewhere in picks 32 to 45.
Right.
And the Bucs, I don't believe, have one pick in there, do they, at the moment?
They've got 19 and 50.
50.
Yeah.
So, again, Jason Licht, I think he'll wheel and deal to get closer than where he is at 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guys that they're meeting with, all these edge rushers they're meeting with, like the kid from Kansas State and Will McDonald from Iowa State, those two guys in particular, I think you're going to have to get them from 32 to 40.
Josh Capo has in his mock draft on Peter Report, 21 Miami Dolphins forfeited pick. Comment, bah ha 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 ha. Tom Brady's not coming there. Sorry.
They forfeited a 21st overall pick just so they could tamper with Tom Brady.
Ouch, babe.
Oh, Stephen Ross.
Ouch. Wow. That's just not good. You know what's interesting, and they got Baltimore Ravens taking Hendon Hooker at 23.
Oh.
I've seen some mocks where they have the Ravens moving up and taking Anthony Richardson.
While they still have Lamar under contract.
Well, then that would make the Lamar.
That would be probably the most bold decision that franchise has ever made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is usually play it safe.
Yeah.
I just don't think that organization is going to get out of character like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hendon Hooker, to me, he's been the team that seems to be the most interested in him is Minnesota. Minnesota has been the team that's been closely associated with Hendon Hooker because you have to ask yourself, do you want to have to pay Kirk Cousins another contract north of $40 million? And he's already been tagged twice, so if you tag him a third time, that's $52 million.
When's his contract up?
I believe this is it for him.
Yeah.
This is it this year. So Minnesota, people think, makes the most sense for Hendon Hooker.
Well, and if the edge rushers are picked over and your offensive tackles are picked over, you're the Bucs. How attractive does Hendon Hooker look at 19?
To me, it'd be very attractive there, or you logically trade back if you're not completely sold on it. Which I don't want the Bucs to take a quarterback at 19 unless 100% of Jason Licht and the decision makers are on it. If there's any bit of doubt, I'm not taking a quarterback at 19.
Well,
not pressing it.
You know who's adamantly against it? Todd Bowles.
Probably so.
That would be the signal in the room that, sorry, coach, we brought back Jamel Dean, we got you Levante David, we even went out, got you good defensive tackle, but we got to look forward. We got to look forward, and we don't have a long-term quarterback, and we need as many options as we can get. Hendon Hooker's the pick. And if you're Todd Bowles, you just say, thank you very much. Let's go get a defensive player with our next pick. So I think if you're sitting there and this is why the offseason has told me one thing, is that Jason Licht is going to field a competitive football team this year. And it's going to be a competitive football team, but he is shored up his team that he can go into this draft and pick any position that he wants. He's not desperate to take a first-round tackle or take a first-round edge or a first-round anything. He can go to war with this team and be a very competitive team within this division if he were to take a quarterback that's not going to play this year at number 19. Because he doesn't have a long-term solution, and this team's going to be a mid-round pick team next year. Where are you going to get one with high upside? And I think in most years, you wouldn't be sitting there at 19 saying, we still need a quarterback.
Yeah.
And there's a first-round graded quarterback on that literally could have won the Heisman Trophy and the SEC at Tennessee out of nowhere. Not nowhere, but it's not Alabama. It's not Georgia. It's, he made that team much better in the last couple of years because of his ridiculous accuracy and that offense that they were running. It's you don't find guys like that at 19. And the only reason he is because he has an ACL that's going to be fine. So
I will say, though, the only thing that would alarm me, there is like a track record of quarterbacks who go in that kind of 20 to 32 range. At least in recent years, most of them have not panned out.
Of course. But you know what? Go back and look at any number. Number one
does not work out often.
This just, you know why? It's hard to find quarterbacks.
It is.
Which is why you have to get as many options as you
can.
It's
just a big
and
guessing
start
game.
filtering through them. See who works and see who doesn't.
It's why the Patriots, even when they had Brady for all those years, they drafted a quarterback in every draft.
Right.
In every draft, hoping to hit on one.
Yeah, you just never know. You never know. Because you never know what system they were in, how bad the coaching was, how held back he was. You just never know. Brock Purdy, you never know. And then how does this system work when he gets to the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
It's why this kid, Clayton Tune from Houston, he's getting a lot of run as a potential second-round pick. But, there's some people have – PFF put out their rankings. They have him ahead of Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
They're very high on him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a guy that I watched at Houston in the AAC, and I looked at him and went, uninspiring.
Right.
But the NFL is a completely different story. So a guy like that, who knows? Brock Purdy, obviously, is going to be the greatest example forever going forward.
Yeah.
So you just don't – it's a big guessing game. Nobody knows.
Yep. All right, we'll take another break. We'll come back on the other side. We had some spring games over the weekend, speaking of football. We'll hit on a couple of those, USF, FSU. We talked about Florida's last week. So we'll get to that when we come back here. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. Diamonds are the birthstone for April, so why don't you get you some diamonds? Maybe not for you, for your girl. Maybe for you. You want them bling? Go get some bling. And at Golden Diamond Source is always the best place to do it. Great folks over there do so much in the community. You can trust them. They have the greatest selection and an unbelievable staff over there that's going to walk you through everything you need to know. No pressure. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Overton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Back in 3. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. Where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation. Home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Folks, there is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. They'll make it a fun experience. People come from all over to shop at the Gold and Diamond Source because of their great customer service and incredible, impeccable reputation. No sales pressure, no intimidation, and they have the largest selection of hand-picked diamonds. And by the way, diamonds are the April birthstone. So this month only, they are offering 15% off their diamond birthstone collection, available on just select products. And you probably heard a lot about lab-created diamonds, folks. They hold no real value. You will have no resale value whatsoever with a lab-created diamond. And of course, it's fake. It doesn't mean as much. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, folks. Interest-free financing up to 5 years, a layaway program, 20% down, and only 6 monthly payments. And, of course, the Diamond Savings Account, where you get full value of your diamond when you look to upgrade. It's all there for you at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Homerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to jeeveslawgroup.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we roll on to this Monday. Going to talk some college football here. Our thanks to the great folks at American Mortgage Services, AMS.com. You can reach Scott Fitzgerald, Scott at AMStampa.com. Scott at AMStampa.com. He'll get you the lowest rates and a lot of crazy things going on in mortgages right now. So if you need to get a mortgage, that's the place to go because they'll always have the lowest rates and the lowest fees. So you got to do that going in and come up with some creative stuff as well to get you through the next few years. So if you have some questions, feel free to just hit him up on the email, Scott at AMStampa.com. It's free. He'll have a long conversation with you and really explain to you what's going on in the market. So if you're just thinking about a mortgage or thinking about you might want to move and obviously the rates are high and maybe you do it for a couple of years, you can refinance after that. So lots of different options out there. So talk to Scott. He knows all of them and he'll be happy to chat with you free of charge. He'll even talk some Seminole football with you as well if you'd like. Very knowledgeable. So just reach him, Scott at AMStampa.com. All right, Florida State had their spring showcase over the weekend, and a couple guys stood out for I think they're so loaded in so many ways. So it's kind of it's the spring game. It's not Johnny Wilson didn't play at wide receiver. He's been nicked up a little bit, but Kentron Poitier, believe is how most of us pronounce his name. We saw him a little bit last year with 22 catches, I think, and made some really good plays during the regular season. But he starred in this game with a one-handed catch down the sideline, at 69 yards in receiving and a touchdown. Really, really stood out. And, they've got Micah Pittman, who's from the Tampa Bay area. He's been nicked up as well, he may not be able to come back until maybe the beginning of the season. A.J. Duffy played at quarterback, looked really, really good. Tate Rodemaker, Brock Glenn, their freshman quarterback, got in there as well. Rodney Hill is a guy that's third on the depth chart right now, but after Toa Feely and Trey Benson, but he looks fantastic. He played a little bit last year and looks every bit the part this year. They're going to be loaded at wide receiver, running back. The offensive line, when you take into consideration the depth that they have now, is probably one of the strengths of the team, which is saying something. If you're an FSU fan, you know that's just absolutely crazy, but it's true. They've concentrated so much on it that they have a tremendous offensive line. Of course, Jordan Travis is going to be the starting quarterback. He played a little bit in this game. I'm so excited to see his senior season and what he's able to do with this deep receiving core that he's going to have. Hakeem Williams played, their 5-star wide receiver. He's looked good in this spring as well. Florida State's in some preseason magazines got up to as high as 6, and those preseason things are, in college football, it's kind of ridiculous because the roster's changed so much. But if you're a Florida State fan, after what you've been through, it's exciting to be mentioned as one of the one of the leaders to make it to the playoff and win the ACC championship. But by the way, the divisions are gone this year, so they don't have to, overcome Clemson. Although I think they feel like they could beat Clemson anyway. It's going to be an exciting season.
The best thing that I saw
injuries
this weekend from Florida State was not the scrimmage, but this right here. This is the best thing we saw. The updated uniforms for Florida State. Did you see these things?
Nope.
Look at these things. The updated uniforms, they've taken away that obnoxious tribal pattern that's on the collar and the and around the arm,
right,
and made it very minimal, back to the classic look.
That is a classic look.
As it should be. That is what Florida State should be forever. And now the icy whites,
the icy
as well,
whites
which
look
nice,
good.
the white on the gold, taking away all that nonsense tribal stuff that was just too much, and back to the.
It did get a little bit much.
A little too much. This to me is the perfect amount.
Yeah.
So
that is classic.
If you're going to return,
like that.
if you're going to return
like
to being the old Florida State, let's do it with the uniforms as well.
I like that. I like that
They
a
look
lot.
very nice.
USF had their game Friday night. I know they had a lot of the wide receivers were injured.
Yep.
What did you take from that?
Well, first of all, they got great support. I know they were playing in a soccer stadium, but they filled it. 4,000 people in attendance. A lot of good past players were there, like Marcos Valdez-Scantling, Mitch Wilcox from the Bengals, and Marlon Mack. Some other guys were there doing
BJ Daniels.
BJ Daniels. They did a flag football game during the halftime, which I heard was really fun. You know me, I'm always looking at my boy Byron Brown, 14 to 22 passing with a touchdown. Which it's still a quarterback competition, by the way. It's not being handed to him or Gary Bohannon, who's not out there. So
he's got a shoulder injury still.
But the Coastal Carolina transfer, I heard, is getting some play at quarterback as well, who sat behind Grayson McCall.
Yeah.
And he's been impressive early on, and he's getting a lot of reps because of Gary Bohannon not being there. So it might not be a runaway for Byron Brown yet, but he did obviously play more so than anybody. And by all accounts, looked good. Naquan Wright ran in for a touchdown, the Florida transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Joyner, if you recall, was a running back. He played slot in this game and led all Bulls pass catchers, 7 catches, 65 yards, playing an entirely new position. So nice little weapon there out of the slot. So it sounded like it went pretty good for USF over there.
Yeah, the problem with them is, you never know with their defense. Anybody can score on them. Last year, that was pretty much the case. So defensively is where they have to shine.
Defensively, 6 sacks and a pick 6.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
But again, going against yourself. Look, we're gonna find out early on what's going on with USF as they got Alabama, the third game of the year coming in, second or third game of the year.
Yep.
My God, that should be very, very interesting. But look, transfer portal is open now. Opened on Saturday. I think USF needs to add probably 4 to 6 players on defense. I don't know what their roster looks like right now, but it's not easy to do because you got to get rid of guys on scholarship to bring in other guys, and you don't necessarily want to cut guys that are on scholarship. You're not supposed to do that, but they are 1-year renewable deals. So
the timing though of this portal is it's so weird to me. Like right after spring games end, and we're like, all right, or during spring games, we're opening up the portal again.
Well, guys,
it's the way it is, obviously.
Yeah,
but
because this is when they feel like they know if they're starters or not.
I found it funny though. How remember when Dion, when he got to Colorado, and he said, portal's open. The second that portal opened, I think Colorado had like the most players going to that portal.
For good reason.
For good reason.
For good reason.
He probably said, "No, I'm going to write your name in that portal for you. Goodbye."
Yeah, he probably did. He probably looked at the tape and said, "Yeah." Which is interesting because it was kind of the different approach at USF, and you may like that. Alex was just like, "We're going to surround you with the best possible coaching, the best possible staffing, support system so you can become the best that you can be." And Dion's like, "You guys ain't good enough. Get the hell out of here.
I mean,
You're 1-11.
Two
Get out of
completely
here."
different situations,
Right.
though. But USF needs to be open for business in this summer. I think Alex Golesh said that this is the most important camp / portal season, whatever you want to call it, summer. I think he said in USF football's history, which might be fair.
Yeah,
it might be fair to say it's that important so far.
All right, we need to hit one more break.
I don't believe so. We got about 5 minutes left here. I did want to provide a couple updates on the Rays and the Lightning. We didn't get to it when we were first talking about the Rays, but Cooper Criswell is been added to the roster.
Okay.
From AAA.
Starting pitcher? Right?
Yes, and I think he had one outing last year with the Rays.
Yeah.
By all accounts, he's been pretty good in AAA. And then Taj Bradley on the taxi squad. And Topkin wrote in his article this morning that it sounds like he might get the start tomorrow.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So everybody wants to see Taj Bradley again tomorrow.
Yeah, which is where he should be.
Which needs to happen.
Yeah, he's the best starter on your 40-man roster that's available. Get him in there.
Yep.
There's no reason not to.
And then on the Lightning side of things, John Cooper just spoke moments ago. Tanner Jeannot confirmed out for Game 1, but he left the door open for Game 2 and said that it went from week to week, and now it's day to day for Tanner Jeannot.
That's crazy.
And there's video here of him skating, and he's obviously going in slower speed, but the fact that he's skating.
Yeah, and Eric Erlinson was on with us earlier today from practice, said he didn't look like he was favoring his leg at all.
No, but then again, we saw this last year. Remember, every practice they had throughout the postseason, and Braden Point was going around, and we were asking, does he look like he's okay to play yet? And it never ended up happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's encouraging nonetheless.
Well, evidently, the Los Angeles Lakers have a new go-to guy in the fourth quarter.
Oh, who would that be?
That'd be Austin Reeves, who scored 14 points in the fourth quarter yesterday in the Lakers' first-round win over the Grizz. And Ja Morant hurt his right wrist, falling to the floor, and it did not return.
It looked nasty.
Did not look good. X-rays were negative. It's not broken, but man, that's your shooting hand. Not too good. And the Lakers jump out to a 128-112 win in Game 1.
Did you have, speaking of, besides Reed, did you have Rui Hachimura as the leading scorer for the Lakers on your bingo board?
I did not. And the Phoenix Suns also get upset in the first game of their series.
I'm not surprised.
Why are you not surprised?
I said this on this show, I think, about a month ago, and I've said this in the limited times that I get to talk about the NBA, that I thought the Clippers were the sneaky team to watch in the West. Even though Paul George is not going to play in the first round, I am a Kawhi Leonard stan, if you will, and I said it yesterday on Twitter. This guy is an all-time playoff performer.
Unbelievable.
Talk about elevating your game in the postseason. Kawhi Leonard is that. That's why I don't count out the Clippers at all, because a healthy Kawhi Leonard in the postseason, I can make an argument he's the best player in the NBA in the postseason.
He just stepped up and hit 3 threes in the last 3 minutes of that game like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing.
He's cold. And also, Russell Westbrook with the you'll never see a better 3 for 19 shooting performance game, whatever you want to call it, than what we saw yesterday.
He took, with a minute 20 left in the game, the Clippers down 1, I think, or maybe up 1. He just ISO'd like he was Russell Westbrook year 5.
Yeah.
Like MVP
he
Russell
took on that challenge.
And he got fouled. Missed the shot, of course, Brick City. They bailed him out with a foul, which he kind of got, Booker kind of hit him on the arm a little bit. Not that it would, upset his terrible shot. So he goes to the line as a 66% free throw shooter.
Yep.
Knocks them both down. So I give him full credit. But what in the F are you doing taking that shot in that situation?
He's an enigma.
I'm sorry. That's a bad play. And he got bailed out by a bad foul call.
But for him to come back and go on
and made a great defensive play, which he could have been called for a foul as well.
I'm glad they didn't. This is the playoffs.
I agree. I agree. But if you're going to call the foul at that end on his shot, a little ticky tack on a little brush of the hardly anything, no body, no nothing, and then at the other end he's mugging Booker to the hole, and he gets a little piece of the ball and there's no call. I mean,
I ain't questioning it. I love Russell Westbrook he does winning things though.
If I'm the Clippers,
he does winning things.
If I'm the Clippers, I'm Tyler. I'm like, dude, okay, you got away with it. Don't be freaking taking shots down the stretch.
No, I don't need Russ shooting. I don't need Russell shooting.
When you're 3 for 19.
Yeah, I don't need him shooting 19 times. But I tell you what.
Stop. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. If you're the Suns, though, I can tell you what, though.
And everybody's, Russell Westbrook played his great. You're 3 for 19, bro, and you got bailed out at the end of the game.
Oh, stop. He won them that game at the end.
Oh, please. He made a couple of good defensive plays.
Oh, how about okay? Why don't you criticize Kevin Durant? How about that? Where was he last night?
How do you take
I don't care they scored
shot,
27. 15 shots in 45 minutes.
One
Kevin
shot
Durant,
in the last 9.
Yeah. Kevin Durant has lost 6 straight postseason games. Let's talk about that.
What are you doing? Well, first of all, I don't get that. I don't know what the coach is doing. I don't know what Durant is doing. That's just ridiculous.
No, this Suns team, I'm telling you, this Suns team has 2 all-world players. The rest of that roster ain't it. The Clippers are winning this series without Paul George.
DeAndre Ayton was unstoppable yesterday. They couldn't stop him. They had no answer for him. None, especially down the stretch.
Okay, well, they have no answer for Kawhi Leonard.
Nobody's
guarding Kawhi Leonard on
Leonard
that team.
made some big-ass shots.
Nobody's guarding Kawhi Leonard on the team. The Clippers are deep. I love the Clippers in this series. And the other thing I saw from this weekend that was great was the Kings. Did you see any of that game?
I did not see any of that.
The atmosphere, the first playoff game in Sacramento since 2006, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That crowd was, I guess I never took Sacramento as a big basketball town.
Yeah.
But that was crazy. That crowd willed them to that victory over Golden State. That's going to be a really fun series that I would love to see go 7.
Do you think that's going to – you think they'll I was surprised that the Kings won that game. I don't know.
Golden State concerned me. They looked like they were okay, but then the fourth quarter, they looked a little gassed. They all looked a little gassed to me, and it kind of looked it was going to be Steph or nobody.
Yeah. Well, they're older, and it's even some of their guys that just came back, like Wiggins just came back, so they're not going to be up to speed just yet. So I think there's some definite fun stuff going on in the NBA. I'm going to watch some of these. I think they're interesting matchups.
The games.
Yeah, agreed. All right, but we only spent 5 minutes talking about it, so don't worry. All right, you guys will be all in on the draft. All right, we'll break for another 22 hours or so, and we'll come back tomorrow and get more into the NFL draft, a little bit more Bucs centric, and of course we'll be. I think we'll grab somebody from Toronto to get a little Toronto perspective for the game tomorrow. So we'll have that for you.
Yeah, and the Rays tonight going up against Hunter Green, who's going to be throwing like 103 or 104.
That's right.
So let's see how the bats do tonight against that.
And who's starting for us?
Jalen Beeks.
Jalen Beeks. He can hit a hundo, right? We'll see what's going on. We'll be back tomorrow with all that fun stuff. Have a great day, everybody.